dear friends of cross-border cooperation, I think we will start. We are a little bit late if you look at the schedule. We have heard 3 very interesting welcoming speech and also a video message from the Commissioner. And now we will go deeper in and talk about cross-border cooperation as cornerstone and cement of the European House. I'm very pleased to welcome. I have 3 lovely men here around me.
You are better.
And I'm really looking forward to the speeches. First, I want to introduce Walter Deffaa, the Director General of DG Regional and Urban Policy from the European Commission. Very warm welcome. On my left side, I have Martín, the Secretary General of AEBR. And we also have Pavel Branda, the Chairman of the Council of Europe, and the Inter-Regional Group of Cross-Border Cooperation. But he's also representing the Euro region, nice and Lisa, from the Dutch, Polish, and Czech border. And the Committee of the Region, of course. I think I will not have any more speeches here. We will go direct to the agenda, and I'm looking forward to hear what Mr. Walter Deffaa, the Director General from the Regional Council, from the Regional and Urban Policy, will talk about the key for delivering integration and cross-border cooperation. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Well, nearly good afternoon, but everybody, great pleasure to be here. When I looked at the title of this session, I thought stone and cement, is this ambitious enough? Is it not also heating and lighting? So is cooperation not also very much about well-being? And I would even add, maybe it's also the Wi-Fi in the house, so it's also about innovation, but joke aside, so I think we have seen this year, where we had a lot of these 25th anniversary celebrations for Interreg, that the results of cross-border cooperation are much more than stone and cement. But, and President Lamberts has made this very eloquently, we have also seen, and we are seeing with the current refugee crisis, that the basics are very, very important, and that we have to preserve the basics. What I want to do in my intervention is not repeat the normal speeches I did on the 25th anniversary, but just to share with you some information about 2 rather recent projects that are relevant. The one is, for the first time ever, I think, we have had a survey, a Eurobarometer survey on and in cross-border regions. So I will give you some insight there. And the second one is, I want to say some words about a highly political project launched by our Commissioner Karina Kretsu, the cross-border review, which will also, I think, bring the debate and the policy of cross-border cooperation a step further. Okay, normally I don't have slides in my presentations, but I think it was also President Lamberts who showed this very good book on cross-border cooperation, and there you have a lot of maps. And normally a map can say much more than 1,000 words. So can we have the first map? So what we did, what Eurobarometer did, they interviewed 40,000 people and asked questions about, I think, 3 things: mobility, trust, and obstacles. So a short map on mobility. So everything that is yellow is very low mobility, and the greener and the darker it gets, the more mobility is there. So I think you can see a lot of interesting things. I will just highlight some ones. First, of course, you see natural obstacles in the road. When you're close to the sea, more difficult to be mobile, right? Same for big river. But, and that was also echoed in President London's speech, you can also see the scars of history. So you see, it's a different story in the East than in the West, and even that after 20 years. You can also see the famous banana, right? That starts in London, goes over Brussels, Paris, and then down to Milano, where you have a very high cross-border mobility. When you go a bit more deeper and you look, why are people mobile across borders, you see that the reasons are often very much linked also to the typology of the border. So, for instance, private reasons, very prevalent when you are on a border where you talk the same language. So this is very much UK, Ireland, Germany, Austria, Slovakia, and Czech Republic. It's not exactly the same language, but they know each other quite well. So when it's about economic nature, the motivation, then you see that you have a lot of mobility there where you have differences in development, so where you have disparities. So this is very much the case around Switzerland, as you can see here. And then there is also, and this is very much prevalent in the banana region, I would say, when one major reason is consumption, then you see it's very much there where you have high purchasing power and where you have rather few natural obstacles. So maybe a last point, when the reason is to get a service on the other side of the border, then language is determined. So this is very clear. So when you want to see a doctor and they don't talk the same language, then this is a problem. I think that's also something to keep in mind when we look at further policy development. Next issue, trust. Okay, here this is the trust. Same idea. First, the level of trust is rather high. So it's 80%. So it's higher for the question: do you want to have somebody from the neighboring country in your family or friend? And as a portion of, when we look at the geography, you have a clear east-west divide. So the Iron Curtain is still very present in our heads. So and it's not only at the divide; it's also within the global perception is not that borders are a major obstacle. Let's hope that this remains like this. But when we look at the obstacles, top ranking for languages. So I talked about it already, and I think policy conclusion very much is investment in languages is something we have to target. In particular, I would add for the youngsters, for the kids, because Then, first, it is very much an investment in the future, and second, it's easier to learn language when you are young. Second place, it's social and economic disparities. I think we talked about this. The third one, interesting, legal and administrative differences. And what is interesting there is that they are mostly felt in those regions where the cooperation is rather developed. So, and as we all want cooperation to develop more and more, we should put our attention very much to these obstacles.
I give the floor to Mr. Martín Guillermo, and he will talk about how to go further and to improve the cross-border cooperation, especially regional and local level. Please.
Thank you very much. Well, we don't have that much time. I got the message that we have to run up a little bit. So I would like to concentrate some messages I would like to. First of all, I was supposed to reply to the Director General, to Mr. Deffaa, but it's not exactly my intention to reply because I think we agree with what he said. And also I think it's very interesting that the Eurobarometer is taking care of cross-border issues. Because as you said before, one of the main challenges we have is to communicate. So, but in order to communicate, we need information first, and information which is relevant. The question is that the information which is produced at border regions and cross-border level, in many cases, is not quantitative, but qualitative. We have a lot of information. And especially if we think a little bit wider, as we like to repeat very often, but I think we have to insist, things happening at the cross-border level affects very much the European integration process. Actually, in every border of Europe, we have a Europe that we call the small Europe happening in a daily basis. So all the information that we can get from what's going on, what are the obstacles, what are the possible solutions, these good examples that we can find here and there, can be extremely important and relevant for other border regions, but even for the whole European integration process. In times of Euro-skepticism, the only place where we have really a positive agenda of Europe is border areas. But still there are many things to do. So, by the way, I would like also not to miss the chance to say hello to those who are listening from the listening room. And we have some colleagues with our somewhere looking at the screen. So, hello, and thank you for your patience to be there. Well, the question is obstacles. Then in this sense, I would like to stress, I was going to stress also the survey. We wanted to put some computers outside for you to fill the survey if you haven't yet, but somebody told me, okay, Martin, in these times, we don't need to put computers outside. Everybody probably has a tablet or a smartphone, so please do it. But not now. Wait, and then in the break you can do it. Anyway, if you need a computer, yes, that side there are some groups, press groups, they call it, that way you can use any computer. Of course, you can use it for other purposes, but please fill the survey. And then I think it's also very, very relevant what the Director General said, let's stress the businesses to do that. The question is, we have been dealing with our business only with politicians, with the experts working in the administration, and this is good. We have created a lot. There is a strong network of interests, a strong network of common projects, where I think we have a kind of meta network that we have created at the very bottom of the European citizenship. But we have to go a little bit out. The first point was to try to communicate with the citizens. This is still, well, what you say, 30% of people have heard about internet. Well, it's not that bad. Actually, it would be interesting to see what was the result some 15 years ago. But it is true that there would be a good target for the next 25 years to try to achieve a 90% of knowledge about internet. Or let's make also this test amongst cross-border stakeholders, then we can get 99%. But it's true that, of course, we have to communicate with the citizens. The citizens should be aware that there are possibilities to solve problems that probably for them are a big nightmare, and it is very possible that there is a cross-border solution to their problems. People when a young person with talent is leaving our border area because he or she thinks that there are no opportunities in his or her region, this is a big failure of the system. We cannot, in today's Europe, we cannot think that people should be free to move, but people should not be forced to move. There are already too many people being forced to move outside Europe and even coming to here. But when I see these young people in these days in Berlin, coming from Spain, from Portugal, from Italy, looking for a job with a fantastic curriculum, with 3-4 languages, with a master's degree, and they cannot get a job in Spain, in Portugal, in Italy, in other countries, something is wrong. But when we talk, but this is happening now in Madrid, in big cities, but it's happening for the last years in many other areas. How many of you have the experience of this brain drain? We are condemning these territories because if the most talented people are leaving, then we have an additional challenge to the challenges of living in a border area. So these are the things, of course, when we talk to the DG Regio particularly, we don't need to explain this. They know very much what's going on. They are very much aware, and even they are making extraordinary steps like this survey on the legal and administrative obstacles. The same happened in the parliament, but in the parliament, of course, in Green Committee, where some of our good friends are there, but sometimes Mr. Seller yesterday was very clear, Lambert van Nistelrooy knows very well about that, but still we have members of the European Parliament who have no clue about Interreg, of course, but even about the thousands of people who are implementing small, big, medium initiatives and projects in the border areas of Europe, internal and external, in a daily basis. And they are supposed to be the representatives of the European citizens. Well, we are talking about more than 35% of European population living in border areas. So it is clear that we have a communication problem. But then again, we have to communicate properly. So that's why we are very much waiting for the results of this survey on obstacles for legal and administrative obstacles for cross-border cooperation, because then we can probably even better comprehensive implementation of actions in the border territories. And there are much more. Many calls are open, and not only at European level, you have also national possibilities. And then it comes to the point of the business, the private sector. At the end of the day, the private sector is the main employer in Europe, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises. And the smaller the enterprise is, the more support they need. So that's why it's not very popular to talk about triple helix, the combination of the coordination between the public sector, the private sector, and the academia. We have to be able to use the knowledge to implement better our strategies, and then to make a support and to strengthen the role of the private sector in border areas, because this will be the key for the creation of wealth, for the creation of jobs, and for the growth of the territories, which are at the end of the day the main objectives, not only of the European Union, but even of the citizens which are with it. But I would like to add even another element to this triple helix, and to go to the quadruple helix, which is the helix in which we also take into account the citizens, because at the end, the main target of our actions as cross-border regions, or the policies which are implemented from the European Union, are the citizens. As I have said at the beginning, they have to be in our main focus, and we should not lose that. In this sense, what can we propose? Well, I think it's very important to have a clear strategies. The colleagues from Galicia and Norte Portugal, they have established the first cross-border smart specialization strategy. So for those of you who think that it's difficult to implement or to define a smart specialization strategy in the region, imagine cross-border. It's possible. Yesterday we were listening to very interesting all the difficulties that they have to make in a very asymmetric situation like Spain and Portugal, but they did it. Of course, those who don't try, they won't get it. But if you try hard, you will do it. And it's important to have a smart strategy for the next years. Because when we look at the title, and this is how we finish with this, when you look at the title, how to improve cross-border cooperation at regional local level, the main point is to say what we need for the future of cross-border cooperation. Well, we need Interreg 6. and we will need probably Interreg 7. And we need this for all territories, not only for those who are more poor or they have more difficulties. We also need the programs for all the territories, because this is not only, it's a bottom-up process, of course, but also it's a horizontal process in which many regions are benefiting from the knowledge from others. And not always means that the best knowledge is produced at the richest regions. Because sometimes the more innovative solutions are coming from the very poor regions, where they have to invent every day to overcome obstacles. And we have a lot of examples in the AEBR. I can figure out 10 or 15 fantastic cases when I'm looking at many of you. So I think this is still life for the cross-border cooperation movement, but now we have an additional challenge that probably we have the duty to communicate Europe in a proper way. Many other fields of European policy have failed on communicating a proper message about Europe. We cannot afford that, because this is not only the future of our territories, but it's even the future of the European concept, which is a very big question mark. In this sense, we hope to be at the highness of this task, and I hope that we can keep on counting with the support of the institutions. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to fulfill.
Thank you.